As the promised Messiah declared to the world the status assigned to him by Allah the Almighty, those who became interested in knowing more about him were not only people living in the small hamlet of Qadian, not only the Punjab, not only India. Rather, his claim attracted the attention of the whole wide world. The vernacular newspapers of India would show a great deal of interest in almost everything he said or did, but the grandeur of his claim was such that the worldwide press appeared equally interested. The British government of India could not ignore the growing attention. The Gurdaspur Gazetteer made mention of the promised Messiah and gave a detailed introduction.
The British government, which was obviously because India was under the British Raj at that time, so the British Indian government rather, was very much interested in knowing what went on in any realm of the Indian society. And religion being a very important part of the Indian society, the British government seems very keen on knowing what is going on in the religions that existed at that time or coexisted at that time in the British India. And we see that at the time when the claim of the promised Messiah ﷺ appears on the scene, the government is intrigued and they're curious to know what this man has to say. The claims were very, very bold, especially from the point of view of a government which had a very strong Christian disposition. The claims that Jesus Christ ﷺ has passed away and the reincarnation that was to happen was going to happen in a metaphorical sense, and that metaphorical reincarnation is in the form of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib Qadiani ﷺ, was a very bold claim for the British government to absorb and to digest it.
When it came to facing the attacks of Christian missionaries on Islam, the Muslims of India always looked up to him. On one such occasion, when the Muslims of Punjab were challenged by the missionaries of Amritsar, none of the so-called great ulama were ready to face them. The Muslims, despite their enmity for the promised Messiah, approached him and requested that it was only him who could save them from humility at the hands of Christians. The promised Messiah accepted the challenge of a debate, lived in Amritsar for the whole fortnight, and left the Christians struggling to deal with the unique type of challenges he posed to them in response to their arguments.
It's really very interesting to note that when the Christian missionaries come up with a challenge for the Muslims of Punjab, boldly claiming and asking them to come forward and defend their religion, the general public of these Muslim majority villages or areas go around looking for a Muslim scholar or a Maulvi to come and defend the faith before the Christian missionaries. And it's worth noting that none of the Muslim scholars at that time seem to be interested in coming forward for the defense of Islam. It is on record that the Muslim scholars that were approached by the general public would ask where they would be staying, who would pay for the journey, who would pay for the stay, and how it's all going to work. So their main interest seems to be that, and they don't seem too keen on responding to the challenge or going out for the defense of their faith, of the defense of Islam. And it's recorded in the Church Missionary Intelligencer, CMS Intelligencer as it is known, where the Christian missionaries were sending reports back home here in England, reporting on the debate and what had went on and recording all sorts of details about the debate. We see that the missionaries clearly admit that it is for the first time that they've come across some arguments which have been posed by the promised Messiah ﷺ. They say that we have never had these queries raised before.
The CMS Intelligencer recording reports from Church Mission Society's foreign missions would carry reports from the Amritsar mission about the novel challenges they were faced with while debating with Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. As a prophet, the promised Messiah was granted by Allah the Almighty the capability to prophesy events that were yet to happen. British and American newspapers would show keen interest and cover such stories. The prophecies to do with plague, with the annihilation of the false prophets like Dowie and the false gods like Pigott, were all over the British and American press.
The interest in the claims and the personality and the character of the Prophet ﷺ is not only limited to the government circles or to the missionaries who were in direct contact with the Prophet ﷺ. The British press, or the Western press I should say, because we find reports in American newspapers as well. So the press in the West was deeply interested in finding out and knowing about Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Sahib Qadiani alayhi salatu wasalam, his claims, and the prophecies especially that he made from time to time when he was given knowledge about something, about an event that was going to happen in the future, and he prophesied it and he publicized it, and the British press would pick it up, or the Western press would pick it up and publicize it here in the West as well. So when the Prophet ﷺ makes a claim about the plague in Punjab, we see that there are reports published here in the Western newspapers. The Prophet ﷺ challenges a false claimant of prophethood, Alexander Dowie. We see that the newspapers are filled, literally filled, with news about the challenge that has been sent to Dowie, how Dowie has responded, whether he has responded or not. And then when eventually Dowie comes to his prophesied end, the newspapers again pick up the story and publish it, and the challenge given by the Prophet ﷺ is highlighted. Similarly, when a false claimant of divinity, Reverend John Hugh Smythe Pigott, when he makes his claims which were published in the Western newspapers, and when that news gets to Qadian, the Prophet ﷺ, we know from the recorded history of the Jamaat that he quickly responded to it within a day or two, and the warning was sent to him that he should refrain from such claims. And when that warning gets to London, here in England, the British newspapers pick it up and they publish the story, they publish the warning, and they publish what Pigott had claimed. And even after 1908, even after the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, we see that the newspapers, whenever they referred to Pigott, we see that they would refer to the warning that was given to him by the Prophet ﷺ, especially as he was declining and he was going towards the end that was prophesied by the Prophet ﷺ. The British newspapers seem to have upheld their interest.
Then came a time in 1924 when the second Khalifa of the promised Messiah, alayhi salam, visited London. The whole British press, already enthralled by the Conference of World Religions to be held in London, was even more fascinated by a caliph of a Messiah being in their city. Even more charming and intriguing for the press was the fact that a mosque was to be founded in the heart of London, the then capital of the largest empire of the world.
When Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani Razila anhu arrived here in London in 1924, there was a great buzz, would be the right word to say. A wave of thrill went through the British press and the Western and the rest of the Western press as well. He obviously was here to attend the conference of the Conference of Living Religions of the Empire, which took place in the Imperial Institute in London. But the press wanted to know that this gentleman, dressed in a turban, accompanied by another 12 companions, again dressed in long coats and turbans and trousers, that made a sight for them, a very interesting sight for the British press, and they wanted to know what these people are here for. Now, when the press got to speak to him, initially maybe a few newspapers when they got to speak to him, and his message got out, we see that almost all newspapers all across the country become interested in the visit of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani, Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad Sahib Razila Ta'ala Anhu, because of the multifaceted nature of the tour. Huzur is attending, obviously, the conference of the living religions of the empire. He is laying the foundation stone of a mosque in the heart of London. He will be attending many other lectures where he was invited, for example, by the spiritualists, where he went and spoke to them in the guild house. He was invited by in the cathedral in Portsmouth, where Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani was going to go and speak. So there are public lectures, and there are the foundation stone laying of the mosque, and the conference, and all of that come together. And then during his stay, an incident takes place in Afghanistan where one of the Ahmadis are martyred on the instruction of the Emir of Kabul. When that news gets to the headquarters in Qadian, it is immediately cabled to Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih the second Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, who was here in London. That gets cabled to him. As soon as the news got to Hazrat Muslim Maud Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, he asks his secretaries to arrange a protest meeting at a location where it's possible for dignitaries and people of significant influence to come and attend it. So we see that a meeting is held in Essex Hall, which is in Strand, which is undoubtedly the heart of London, where dignitaries are invited, people from the academia are invited. So that automatically gets picked by the press and gets extensively publicized in the Western newspapers.
The laying of the foundation stone of the mosque created a very strong link between the international press and the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. Any major activity in Qadian would appear in the newspapers. But what would catch the attention of the press the most was the advice given by Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, the then Imam of the Jamaat, to the Muslims of the subcontinent as they struggled to gain independence from the British Raj. His advice was taken to be of significant importance, as it was always multifaceted. Advising the Muslim League, guiding the Indian National Congress, and above all, counselling the British government as to what the best step for them could be in the given situation. The London mission had been actively involved with the government and the press all along in various matters related to religions, global peace, and interfaith harmony. It was well known to the British public, through the press coverage, that activities of the London mission would receive. It was in this scenario that Hazrat Khalifatul Masih III, Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad, came to London to address a conference titled Deliverance from the Cross.
With the approval and guidance of Hazrat Amirul Mumineen, Khalifatul Masih III, Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad Sahib Rahimahullah Ta'ala, a conference was organized in Kensington in London at Commonwealth Institute from 2nd to 4th of June 1978. And the topic of the conference was Deliverance of Jesus from the Cross. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis Rahimahullah Ta'ala came to England especially to address the gathering. Apart from his address, there were several other scholars who spoke there about various topics regarding Jesus. Hazrat Chaudhry Muhammad Zafrullah Khan Sahib Raziyallahu Anhu opened the conference. At the occasion of the conference, an exhibition was also organized where the Jamaat-e Ahmadiyya displayed the route map of journey of Jesus which he took to Kashmir. Also, there were some books which were exhibited there, especially the Promised Messiah's Last Psalms book, Jesus in India and Masih Hindustan in Urdu, and then Where Did Jesus Die? And also a book which was specially written at that occasion by Hazrat Chaudhry Muhammad Zafrullah Khan Sahib, Deliverance from the Cross.
The migration of Khilafat-e Ahmadiyya from Pakistan to London proved to be a major turning point in the activities of the Jamaat, being widely publicized by the press. Whether Hazrat Mirza Tahir Ahmad, Khalifat al-Masih IV, was delivering lectures, addressing the Jalsa Salana, or was on tour to a certain country, press coverage became a more common thing than before. Television channels wanted to know what intentions he had brought with him when he arrived in London.
Well, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Tahir Ahmad, who was the fourth Caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, was forced to leave Pakistan because laws had been passed in Pakistan, which firstly declared us as non-Muslims, and then further laws were passed by Zia Haq, who was the dictator that ruled Pakistan. And the laws meant that His Holiness could not even do his Friday sermon from there because it would go against the laws of Pakistan. And at that stage, even to say Assalamu alaikum could mean 3 years of imprisonment. And also because they were trying to get the leadership of Ahmadiyya Jamaat into custody, they fabricated some cases against His Holiness, and therefore it was very important that he had to leave the country in order to have a free voice to be able to speak to the worldwide community of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. So that was the motivation behind migration from Pakistan to the United Kingdom.
अहमदिया फ़िरक़े के सरबराह मिर्ज़ा ताहिर अहमद आजकल लंदन में हैं और बीबीसी को एक ख़ुसूसी इंटरव्यू देते हुए उन्होंने मोहम्मद गयूर से बातचीत की, जिन्होंने उनसे पहला सवाल ये किया कि हुकूमत पाकिस्तान के नए ऑर्डिनेंस पर उनका क्या रद्द अमल है।
सबसे पहले तो ये बात समझ में आ नहीं सकती कि इस किस्म के ऑर्डिनेंस को लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट या कानून करार देना किस तरह मुमकिन है, क्योंकि बुनियादी इंसानी हुकूक में मुदाखलत और इस किस्म की खुली खुली और फिर एक ऐसा इनकलाबी वाक़या हुआ है इस नए दौर में जिसका दुनिया ने नोटिस नहीं लिया। और ताज्जुब है कि ह्यूमन राइट्स की खातिर आवाज़ देने वाले एक एक आदमी को सफरिंग हो तो वो शोर मचा देते हैं। वाक़या ये हुआ है कि पहले सच्चाई निकलवाने के लिए टॉर्चर करते रहे हैं लोग, उसके खिलाफ भी आवाज़ उठाते रहे हैं लोग, लेकिन अब ये टॉर्चर है झूठ निकलवाने के लिए, यानी इस बात की सजा दी जाएगी कि तुम सच क्यों बोल रहे हो। मेरा मजहब जो है वो तो मैं बेहतर जानता हूँ, अगर मैं अपने मजहब को इस्लाम समझता हूँ तो जब तक मुझे समझाया ना जाए कि तुम्हारा मजहब इस्लाम नहीं है और मैं समझ ना जाऊँ, अगर मैं कहूँगा कि मैं गैर मुस्लिम हूँ तो झूठ बोल रहा हूँ।
लेकिन ये कि आप करेंगे क्या?
हमने जो किया है वो तो वही है जो मजहबी जमात को करना चाहिए। हम एक सियासी जमात तो नहीं है और हम पूरा यकीन रखते हैं एक जिंदा खुदा में जिसने हमें पहले कभी भी नहीं छोड़ा। ये पहला वाकया तो नहीं है, 100 साल से हम मजालिम बर्दाश्त कर रहे हैं अपने ईमान की खातिर और नहीं टले वो बात समझने से और यकीन रखने से जिस पर हम यकीन रखते थे।
Then came the age of revolution in the media. From print to electronic realms, the media had now seen a whole new dawn with the emergence and rapid rise of social media. And by this time, the Jamaat had entered the blessed era of the fifth Khilafat of the promised Messiah. This meant that virtually every word said by the Khalifat al-Masih would now reach to the corners of the earth in minutes, if not seconds. This blessed era began at a time when the world was beginning to see Islam and violence as two names of the same phenomenon. Islam was patented as the one factor that jeopardized global peace. No one seemed ready to ask or even listen to a response from the Muslim side. It was in such a tumultuous scene that this man, the Khalifa of the promised Messiah, the Imam of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, this man of peace came forward to explain what Islam actually stood for.
Alhamdulillah, with each year that passes, the media coverage, the exposure of the Jamaat continues to increase. And the wider world over the past 15 years of Hazur's blessed Khilafat have come to see and hear and understand much more about Khilafat-e-Ahmadiyya. And I've seen with my own eyes over the past 10, 11 years how Allah Ta'ala continues to bless the efforts of Hazur and to propagate the message of the Jamaat through the media. I've seen Hazur in countless interviews in the United Kingdom, in the United States, in Europe, in Africa, in different parts of the world, Far East. And you always see that no matter what, the journalists come away very, very impressed by Hazur's personality.
The media was soon to realize that it was here that a different interpretation of the Quran existed. The Muslims were not ready to accept Ahmadiyya interpretation of the Quran, but their scholars were soon seen imitating the same ideology as preached by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V. This ideology, initially given by the promised Messiah, was conveyed to the world by this triumphant successor of his. This ideology of a peaceful and harmonious Islam, that was always branded as a heresy by Muslims, was now to become the only acceptable, practicable, and audible message of Islam.
خلافت کیا ہے ایک فضل عظیم رب رحمہ ہے سراسر نور و رحمت علم و حکمت کا گلستہ ہے خلافت کیا ہے ایک فضل عظیم رب رحمہ ہے سراسر نور و رحمت علم و حکمت کا گلستہ ہے خلافت کیا ہے ایک فضل عظیم رب رحمہ ہے سراسر نور و رحمت علم و حکمت کا گلستہ ہے خلافت کیا ہے ایک فضل عظیم رب رحمہ ہے خلافت حرز جان و نور عین ہر مسلمان ہے خلافت پاسبان امت فخر رسولہ ہے خلافت جلوہ قدرت ثانی کی حامل ہے خلافت نصرت و تائید ربانی کی حامل ہے خلافت درس گاہ علم و عرفان الہی ہے خلافت اس زمین پر آسمانی بادشاہی ہے خلافت اس زمین پر آسمانی بادشاہی ہے خلافت پر تب فیضان و انوار نبوت ہے نظام اس کا سراسر عکس دربار نبوت ہے خلافت کیا
Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Khalifatul Masih V, leaves no stone unturned to convey to the world